Hi, Ivana, and welcome to the Be That Life experience.
Thank you, Mary. It's such a pleasure to be on your podcast today.
We have been friends for quite some time now, and I love what you do
Thank
because
you.
I am someone that also cycles a lot. And I think I've
Yes.
gotten so much more into it over the last 5 years where I
Yes.
would really go to the tracks. I bought my own bicycle, and I don't know what it is. Like, I would have periods during the time that I would cycle where it works really well on my joints and legs, and other
Yeah.
times when I'm really pushing through and it's a struggle.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this conversation today and this podcast episode will be about cycling
Perfect.
because so many people in the world cycle, and a lot of people want to get into it and just really want to understand a bit more as to why cycling is so much more beneficial to longevity. And because we care about beauty,
Yes.
anti-aging,
Anti-aging.
pro aging. This word anti-aging, by the way, has been
Pro.
like, yeah,
Exactly.
they
Who
said like,
actually came up with
why?
anti?
I'm like, why is it anti-aging? Why are we not
We're
pro-aging?
pro-aging.
Right? But
Absolutely
then the
correct.
the way that we want to pro-age
Yeah.
is that we want to age gracefully. And we're
Exactly.
doing it pretty fucking
We're
well.
doing really well.
We're in our 40s and we're killing it, girl. We're killing
In
it.
case you guys didn't know.
Yeah. So what even got you into this space, because I know you're a founder of a cycling
Yeah.
studio. So let's talk a little bit about what got you into the space anyway.
So basically, I'm the founder of Storm Cycling. I have been cycling, indoor cycling, and relatively sometimes outdoor cycling as well for about 9 years. I've always been sporty at heart. I find that fitness is a great way to exert energy, particularly for your mental health. It releases feel good hormones, chemicals in the body, and there's no better way, in my opinion, to start your day or just to stress relief. When I was younger, I used to run track competitively. So I ran 400 to 3,000 in Australia. I ran with Olympic torch in 2000. It's a long time ago. But that's basically where I got into sport, and I've always loved it. I found that it's a great way to sort of set yourself benchmarks, reach those benchmarks, work on yourself, feel stronger, feel great for it. Of course, I gave it a break throughout my adulthood, and then I sort of got back into it when I went through some stressful times, as a lot of us do turn to sport for that. Um, and I got back into the world of indoor cycling, which I loved so much. And to be honest with you, one of the things that I loved most about it was I saw that I had the ability to give back to the community and help people better themselves. Some people had never touched sport before. And I saw their progression in my classes. And then at some point later on, I would actually see them venturing into other sports, such as lifting or circuit training or high rocks. And it was really nice to see them develop that love for sport and movement in general.
So you said that you have been doing it for 9 years before you started Storm.
Before I started
So
Storm.
what made you even get into like indoor cycling? Did you start outdoor cycling first, or was it indoor cycling just as a fitness relief, or you're going through some tough times? And
Yeah.
then you were just like, okay, I want to create a studio.
Yeah, so I've actually had Storm for 6 years. We've actually had it there in Murdiff. We've recently just opened up a brand new Palm branch in Golden Mile there in the Palm Jumeirah. That was opened up last October, which is super exciting. 6 years with Storm, but previous to that, I actually helped establish one of my competitor branches. Ding, ding. So they're still running efficiently, doing really well. And this is where I started. It was actually the first rhythm riding studio in the Middle East. I had never tried rhythm riding before. And I was like, what is this? It was a bit of a dance on the bike. So we encourage you to express yourself by staying on the beat, which is relative to your cadence. So we measure beats per minute on the bike. Each repetition of the pedal is a beat of the song. We either move in double time or single time. If we're moving in single time, the slower of the two, then we just correlate that with an increased resistance nozzle. So I say it's a bit like tuning a guitar on a bike. And this is where the exertion comes, either from the agility in the speed or the heavier resistance push on the pedal. That's where it started. And then I saw a huge gap, especially in the Emirati market. There was a lot of clients coming to me from Al Qawanij, Sharjah areas, Murdiff, and I had been recommended to go and check a space in Murdiff. And I hadn't actually ventured out that way. So I went out there and I found my dream space. And believe it or not, a year later, when we were ready to do this, that space was still available.
Wow.
So some things just flow easily, right? Because they're meant to be. Opening up in Maldives was amazing. I've seen a huge shift, especially in the local Emirati community. We were actually the first to train and graduate an Emirati cycling indoor coach, a woman. It was all really, really amazing. It sort of like set the standard and encouraged people to eat better, to sleep better, and also instill things like discipline, showing up to class on time. This sort of stuff that maybe wasn't as familiar in the community.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's so cool how you can see someone's transition from what they started off
Yeah,
to what you have built today, because 6 years is a long time, especially in a market that's quite competitive.
yes.
And also, the beautiful thing is that you're not just a founder of that brand, you're still one of the trainers there, still one
Yeah.
of the coaches, right?
I love it.
And you're so hands-on. You really do so much, not just for building this brand, but also for being part of this community. Now, as somebody who's done indoor cycling myself and also do outdoor cycling, I've noticed from my own personal experiences that when I run and you run with a group of people and there are pacers that are set at the back, in the middle, and in the front, you have to run with the group, right? That set the pace.
Yeah.
And in cycling, I think it's a little bit harder to do that, because I feel like when you're inside the studio and when you're cycling, you can't really know how everyone is turning the knob.
Yeah.
They can lie and say they're turning the knob right to make it harder or left to make it less harder. So really, a cycling experience indoor, it's a personal experience and how hard you want to train yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Because there's only only so much that a coach can do in front, the trainer. Because I know I've cheated a few times. There are times that I would go cycling and like,
if
okay,
she wanted to, she would.
I'm pretending like I'm turning the knob to the right, but really I'm not giving it my full capacity because I don't feel like I want to do it that day.
Yeah.
Right. And but in reality, you're just cheating yourself.
Yeah.
Because the indoor cycling is a very personal experience.
It is.
So how many people that you know, based on your experience indoor cycling, who do it that way and are not really seeing the results, and then blame you as a coach or as a studio, I'm not really seeing those results?
It's a very interesting question. Firstly, we're riding on beats per minute, which is a sort of a different metric compared to your traditional RPM spinning.
Okay.
So it's beats per minute. We can see whether you're on the beat or not, for example. However, you've got to remember that sometimes, especially with things like the cycling world, people feel a little bit intimidated by it. You see all these fancy cycling videos online, especially with rhythm riding, where people are doing the Macarena on the stage, and you're like, no, I'm feeling intimidated by that. We get a lot of that feedback. So when people step into my class, for example, firstly, you obviously have to explain everything: resistance nozzle, the lever on the stage's bike, what it does for you. Then you give them the baseline. The baseline would be turn 2 turns, because the baseline not only is there to challenge you, but it's there to keep you safe when you're out of the saddle. So there's always some form of baseline. Now, of course, you cannot control what people do. If they want to put less than the baseline, that's their prerogative. But what you can do is verbally cue them and mentally encourage them to follow your directions to optimize their workout. So I think mainly through words. Like, I think even with running, you can run to the back if you wanted to, you know what I mean? You've got the markers, which makes it a little bit more challenging. But we can see, let's just say that riding on the beat is like our marker in the class. And my cue, minimum 2 turns, is the minimum baseline. So yeah, I guess that's the best way to sort of try to monitor it. But like in any sport, they're going to give as much as they want to, or they're not, especially in group activities.
And when they say that you're not, helping them lose the weight, or they're not seeing the results, what do you say to them?
Well, I would firstly say there's a whole collaboration of factors that go into losing weight or not seeing results. Perhaps you're actually fulfilling the number of classes that we recommend, but when you're going home, you're not sleeping on time. You're having late night munchies, which by the way,
we're common.
We're all guilty of doing that, but we just need to be a little bit realistic. Like in any sport, you could be lifting, you could be training, but if your diet, your sleep, your hormones are not on point, and especially your sleep, by the way, you're going to be thrown on whack when it comes to meeting your results or your targets. So you've got to make sure everything else is on check. It's not just reliant on cycling or one modular of sport.
Yeah. So cycling is an endurance sport. So I know
cardiovascular, cardiorespiratory.
so many people are doing like
Yeah.
100K, 200K
Yes.
cycling experience, Ironman, these like
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, I really want to do Ironman at one point
You
in
can
my
do
life.
it.
I really want to do it.
Yeah.
Let's see. But that's a goal that I want to
Yeah.
achieve at some stage. But there, it's really crazy the amount of endurance and
Yeah.
stamina you need to have in those sports. So when I used to cycle, and I used to be part of the clubs in
Yeah.
in Meydan and various other cycling tracks, I noticed that the cyclists are really great at keeping pace,
Yes.
right? So they all cycle at the same kind of like position
Mhm.
and within the same pace and the
Yeah.
same rhythm, right?
Mhm.
And this is from the outdoor cycling perspective. And for me, I was always curious because, like, how are they doing that for so many kilometers and not getting tired?
Mm.
And then last year, I started getting into the journey of Spartan trainings. And then I did my first 5K, I did my first 10K, and then I did my first 21K, not just running, but obstacle course
Mhm.
training, right? Obstacle course trails, which is also so much harder because you're not just pushing your body to run,
Yeah.
you're also then doing these obstacles. And obstacles are full upper body strength trainings,
Yes.
right? And you need to have really great upper body strength. And with running, you need to have really great lower body strength to be able to do both. So my first 5K run, I wasn't on anything other than water and electrolytes. And I
Mhm.
really I suffered in that run.
Mm.
My 10K run, I started taking energy gels.
Okay.
Okay. And I started taking like these energy gels, these energy chewables. And then I started discovering that I was able to last longer
Mhm.
on
Yes.
those when I started taking those.
Mhm.
And then when I hit 21K and completed that, I was really reliant on those things.
Mm.
Now, how crazy the entire time that I was cycling around the cycling tracks, I never once consumed any of these energy substitutes to help me cope. Do you feel that people need that? And is it something that you use as well when because you're doing like 8-hour days? Like, okay, you're taking breaks,
Yeah.
but I've seen you do many classes in
Yeah.
a day. Is that what they do as coaches?
I think things like your nutrition definitely needs to be on point.
Yeah.
Again, sleeping at certain times, eating at certain times. Your body, when it goes through high intensity training, ultimately, just to break it down to very simple terms, it will search for glucose. The first place it will search for the glucose is in your bloodstream. All right. So your body will send that glucose from your bloodstream straight into the muscle group. All right. So it's really, really good for moderating your blood sugar levels, cycling. So say you're doing 20 to 30 minutes a day, you can actually moderate your blood sugar levels through this. And you'll know better than I will. And there's studies out there to show, actually performed on type 2 diabetes people, adults, that shows that 20 to 30 minutes a day of moderate cycling can actually help moderate these blood sugar levels in their body.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. So do you take the energy gels?
Look, I used to when I used to teach
okay.
a lot more, but now my
Yeah.
teaching has backed
Yeah.
off.
But it's just good to know, like, what's
Yeah,
the, like,
yeah,
do they
yeah.
take it?
You need to take some fast energy if you're doing endurance for sure.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or
So
high
do
intensity
your
interval.
trainers they need it to cope,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Especially
well,
like new trainers
yes.
and people that are doing like so many classes.
Yeah, I would say people who are doing a lot of classes back to back. Sometimes we do exert on a rare
you
occasion. I
need
don't
them.
like to encourage it.
Yeah.
Say we're exerting 3 classes back to back, or say we're doing a 90-minute challenge. The body doesn't know the difference between a fast-paced sugar and a slow release.
Yeah.
It just needs it on the spot. The muscles need that sort of energy. So your body will absorb it straight away, from that blood sugar stream.
Yeah. So now you don't do it as much anymore. Now you're just focusing on the
No.
food aspect of it.
I
And
focus
you
on
have
the food
enough
aspect.
energy
Yeah.
just from the food alone to help you cope. And obviously, if you're doing
Yes.
way more training days,
Yeah.
you would need that as a supplement.
Yeah, I'm very, very conscious of my food intake.
Yeah.
The foods that I eat, what I need to fuel my body on the days that I have more activity.
Yeah.
This is really, really important,
Because we also spoke a lot about energy, right? And we talked a little, we spoke about how you've had dips in energy, especially when because we're at the age.
Yeah.
We're at the age,
20s.
the perimenopause, like,
Yeah.
approaching menopause phase, where we're really at the age where we're having dips and highs and lows of energy.
Yes.
And especially when you're doing something as strenuous as what you're doing, you need energy all the time.
Yeah.
So how are you? What do you do to cope with that?
I would say that the number one thing that I do is make sure that my sleep is on point.
Yeah, me too.
And Mary, I think you know that.
Yeah.
I'm quite stringent with my sleeping. It's very rare that somebody will pull me out past 9 p.m. I need to get those hours of sleep in. This regulates my hormones. I get up. I don't have spikes while I'm sleeping. I eat properly in the morning. I don't fast or anything like that, to be very honest. I get up and eat before I train because I need that energy on the bike.
Yeah.
Then I will eat my lunch at a regular time. And then I will eat my dinner, preferably before the sun goes down. So it gives my body that, not fasting, but I would say digestive break between the night and the morning.
I don't think many people even truly understand that. How did even cycling come into play? Right? The indoor cycling we're talking about. And a lot of people just think like it just became a fad in the gym and people start using the bikes and it became just for fitness. But in reality, cycling actually, like indoor cycling actually started in the 1800s when a lot of cyclists, like pro cyclists, needed a place to train.
Yeah.
During the enduring winter months too. Like all year round, they just wanted a place to train. And so that's when it first came to play, right? And then in the 20th century, it became more about like the doctor started noticing that it was great for cardiovascular health.
Yes.
It's a great like low impact activity. And they discovered that they could use it actually to help people from a metabolic standpoint.
Yeah.
So then it ended up less about the gyms and started more in rehabilitation centers.
Yes.
And in a medical setting before it even got introduced to the gym setting, right? So now I want to talk more about like why cycling in general is really great for longevity. And VO2 max is a marker or the marker for how we focus on longevity these days. Most functional medical practitioners talk about VO2 max. They talk about how this is great for just the entire system in the body. Why making sure that your VO2 max rate is really high. It doesn't matter at whatever phase you are in life and why that's really, really important. Why do you think cycling helps with VO2 max?
So cycling, let's talk about VO2 max just for a moment and break it down for everybody. Your VO2 max capacity, it's like an engine for your body. The larger the engine, the more it runs better, basically. So your VO2 max is the volume of oxygen that your body is able to take in and process. If you think about yourself running or cycling, when you get out of breath and you're panting, you're sweating, your heart is beating quickly. What is the body doing? The heart is working really hard to pump that blood containing oxygen to the muscle groups that are exerting high intensity exercise. So basically, the fitter that you are, the faster your recovery and the less strain that you will read. All right. So day to day, I know that high endurance athletes, pro athletes around the world, they have a very, very high VO2 max, right? But us day to day, how can we work on that? I can actually give you a few little tips for home and why it's important. Firstly, cardiorespiratory fitness is very important. As we age, when we talk about longevity, we want a strong heart. We want a strong set of lungs, right? You don't want to be walking up a set of stairs out of breath or unable to lift yourself from a sofa later on in life because you feel breathless. So VO2 max capacity is very important. There are ways that you can train it at home. And this is also a good one for you training for your marathons, Mary. If you have a bike or if you want to take a stationary bike at home, what you do is you do small intervals. They're called micro intervals. And it's similar to what we do at Storm, but I'll tell you like a home set of workout where you can do. You take 30 seconds on, go full throttle. Like you'll feel like your lungs are on fire. You'll be sweating, you'll be panting, fine. Then back off to half the capacity for about 30 seconds. Repeat this 10, 12, 15 minutes. Do it twice a week. Check your VO2 max at the beginning of this protocol. Check it at the end. I can guarantee you that it's gone up. All right. Another thing with checking VO2 max, we've got readers and everything that's fine that are attached to our body that we have on a commercial side. But if you really want to check it in depth, take yourself to like a sports medical clinic or any medical clinic that can actually test your VO2 max in detail if you're treating it very seriously, like for your marathon, and see the growth. But you've got to have that exertion, because your VO2 max is basically a measure of how much oxygen your body is taking in to be able to function properly at that cardiovascular level. So just to sum it up, when you increase your VO2 capacity, you're increasing your cardiorespiratory ability, your ability to recover faster and to exert energy with less strain on the body. That is a marker of your fitness. So as you're training for that marathon and you're working on that cardiovascular ability, check your VO2 max, because it's very, very important actually, especially in endurance sports.
I always like to think that the VO2 max is similar to how you're pushing two different car engines up a hill, right?
Yeah.
One with a very small engine and one
Yes.
with a very, very powerful one.
Yes.
And how do you think the one with the small engine is going to go up, right? It's going to overheat, it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
burn out, while the one with a powerful engine is going to make it up there without
Yes.
breaking a sweat.
Yeah,
So the point is that us as humans, as we age, obviously our organs are not operating the way it's supposed to, right? But we need to push it consistently so that it's always working in optimal levels. It's the same when we park our car at the garage for a very long time. And I say this just in general about movement, right? And because like I have a walking club and we move all the time, and I talk about steps and the importance of steps. And we know for a fact that it's not even about the 10,000 steps. It's just hitting your steps. A minimum of 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day is so vital, because just like our car needs that we start it every single day, because everything in the mechanics and the engines won't operate as optimal. It's the same with the movement of our joints. If we're not using that consistently, always and all the time, what's going to happen to that, right? It's going to deteriorate. Our blood and flow is not going to operate in the same way. The lymphatic system, the toxins that are moving in and out of our bodies is not going to move in and out the right way, right? So this is the reason why we have to have our optimal levels. The last time I checked my VO2 max, I was at a 46.1, which is considered outstanding for my age group. Have you checked yours?
I haven't checked mine recently. Very good question.
So I would love to know.
I think
what
I just sort of
yours
jump
is.
on that bike and go for it. But I do know, I'll give you a little bit of a comparison. This riding at double time speed or whatever comes very naturally to me when I've practiced. But say for example, 2 years ago, I went on vacation for 5 weeks. I went to my parents' house back in Australia. They were moving to Croatia. And I was like, no, when I was home, my parents lived very far away from the indoor cycling studio. So I actually didn't end up doing anything. And of course, it felt weird after 5 weeks. Got back to Dubai, jumped on the bike. I was breathless. I was breathless. My lungs were burning. This is the thing with this training, cardiovascular, respiratory. You cannot leave it.
So true.
You've got to be consistent, at least 2-3 times a week. 2 times a week is great at max capacity, interval sort of training. And then, of course, you've got to couple that with your strength training, your outdoor walking. Walking is really underrated. It is one of the best exercises for you. And you can do it at whatever age group, right? It doesn't matter. It's something that you have to keep consistent with.
So true. Because when I did the running for Spartan and I was going for it, 10K was a breeze for me.
Yeah.
And now when I stop and try to get back on it, I have breaks,
Yeah.
So like you said, you have to be consistent with it always.
Yes.
And that's the reason why runners have running plans, and why cyclists have cycling plans, and why people who are endurance trainers never stop. Endurance athletes never stop from their training plans. Maybe they have breaks, when they're going through a phase where they're not in competition mode. But still, you need to keep that fitness up always. And isn't it crazy? This episode is brought to you by Gabbit, the longevity ecosystem helping you live healthier and longer with smart wearables, science-backed products, and expert coaching. I've been wearing the smart Gabbit ring, and honestly, it has completely changed how I think about my health. It tracks all 4 pillars of health, including sleep, stress, fitness, and nutrition, and gives insights that actually make sense. The VO2 Max On Demand, HRV, sleep stages, workout zones, stress, calories in and out, and so much more. And I love that the AI voice logging is unreal. You can literally say what you ate and it logs it instantly. It even has this AI health coach, a PEP, to help you and assist you at all times. So if you want a smarter, science-backed way to optimize your health, check out Gabbit.com. That's GABIT.com, and you can use my code MaryC for an additional 5% off. Now let's get back to the episode. That
Yeah.
it's about that
But
and
do you know
less
what the best
about.
part is about
Yes,
this?
tell
It
me.
doesn't matter your age. You
Yeah,
can work on that endurance.
totally.
You can work on your VO2 max. The age is just literally a number. And that's the most amazing thing about it. Even when, long distance runners, you'll see a lot of them have started later on in life because it's not about the age. It's about the consistency of your training and your output.
Why is cycling considered low impact but high output?
So cycling is considered low impact because there's a low stress on the joints. If you think about it, there's no impact. There's no pounding on the pavement. There's no box jump. Not that anything wrong with box jumps, but there's no impact on the joints. So you're able to pick up this aerobic ability and stay consistent to that in the repetitions. It's low impact, but it's high output. Why is it high output? Because your working gets pushing against the resistance and you're actually stimulating your cardiovascular abilities that way. So that's why it's high output, gets the heart rate up, but low impact because you're not pounding the pavement, which again is amazing for longevity. You can do it into your older age and not worry about that impact on the joints.
Yeah. So when I used to coach, I would always coach a lot of people who were either very overweight or mildly overweight and also suffering from either type 1 or type 2 diabetes. Right. And a lot of, as you would know, when you are either type 1, type 2, type 1 or type 2 diabetic, there's an issue with your glucose levels. And being able to manage that when you are out of breath or you can't move is a real struggle. So I would always tell them to get on a bike instead of walking because a lot of them can't actually walk. And they're struggling with that, right? Even just to do, 50 to 100 meters, they're out of breath or they're already experiencing in their knees. And when they get on the bike, sure, there is still, arriving to a place where they get out of breath, but not to a point where they're impacting any parts of their joints. So this is why I tell them to always start with cycling first, get to a level where you've lost some weight, and then we can get you back to, putting the stress on the walking because again, when you're walking, it's all the impact from your upper body weight that is putting impact on your joints, your knees, your ankles, your feet. And, when you are cycling, and because we are cycling on a bike that we have these, what do you call those
Clip-in
shoes?
shoes.
The clipping shoes.
With the
Oh my
cleats.
gosh, babe, let me tell you, the first time I ever rode on a bike outdoors and I decided I want to look like a pro, I wore my clipping shoes. I ended up on a hill and like slammed myself on one of those bridges, fell like in a really bad, unattractive way and injured myself with like massive bruising on my knee. And then it actually like, I don't know what it was. It was like it made me like afraid to go back on a bike with the clips outdoors. So now till today, I don't bike with the clips outdoors. I just bike with my sneakers because the thing is I struggle, as you know, when I would come to you, I struggle getting that on and off.
I'm going to have to give you a session of just clipping in and out.
Yeah, and does it get easier over time?
It does, it does.
The clipping in, do you think it's also like because my shoes were new? And getting on a bike,
the cleats were a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's also an art. Like one of the first things I have to show clients is how to clip in and out.
Yeah.
And still at Storm, if you're sort of stuck in your bike at the end of your workout, we'll come in and unclip you. We'll just get you to raise your hand. We don't leave you there.
Yeah.
Of course, I crack a joke.
Suffer.
I'm sure you're staying here for the next class.
Yeah. I totally suffer with that. Like the clip, like I need to, this year will be the
You're
year
not
where
alone,
I'm
by the
going
way.
to go back on the clips.
Yeah.
And I want to challenge myself that I can and find a way that even if I'm going really fast.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I've never been like a cyclist in my younger years. So I really just got into it as I got older. And when oh my God, babe, when I first got on a bike in my like late 30s, like it was just embarrassing. I would fall. I couldn't like, handle the movements.
Yeah, but you're good now.
And now, like, oh my God. So it just goes to show, like, if
it's
you
confidence
can
and
come
balance.
out of your comfort zone and really push yourself to get to a place where you can do it. The only time I think I would be able to consider myself a pro cyclist is when I'm able to hold it with one handle and use my phone on the other and be like, I'm
all that content
I
taking.
still can't do it until now. So
but you know what? I think that once you learn the art of clipping in and out, you're actually going to love it.
Yeah.
because clipping your shoes in is a much more professional way to ride, and you have better stability, and you have a better handle on the bike. So we're going to have a session of me clipping you in and out. How's that sound?
Yeah, please. That would
Perfect.
be
All
really
right.
good. I would love that. But I would love for us to go cycling one time,
Yes,
you know,
we have to.
outdoors.
It'll be lovely, especially
then-
while the weather is good.
Yeah, let's
It's
do. Let's do.
utilize
Do you
that.
still cycle outdoors, or you're more like just indoor cycling?
I'm mainly indoor, but every now and then I do like to cycle
And,
outdoors, especially when the weather is gorgeous.
What's your like distance? How far can you go? Have you done the 50K?
No, I haven't competitively cycled in terms of outdoor. I'm more of an indoor.
But if you have that stamina, I know that you can definitely cycle for like a really long
So great,
distance.
let's go together, you and I.
I think we should try the 50K initially and see how we go, right?
Yeah, we should.
So again, cycling, like many other sports, there are different zones.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, especially me, when I first started in this endurance sport, I never really like, okay, I would wear the monitor when I would do like, for example, boot camp training or like strength and conditioning, and they would talk about the different zones, or they would have it in the screen. But I'm never really someone that really went in depth into understanding what those zones were and are, and why they're important in certain level in different sports. Why, you know, a zone 1 is really good for like walking, a certain zone 2 is really good, and like zone 4 is really good for like endurance sports like high rocks, right? So I want to just talk a little bit about what those different zones are, and then ask you as to what the zone is really good for cycling. So for example, zone 1 is just recovery and circulation. It's very easy. You can breathe through your nose, talk comfortably. What it does, it increases blood flow. It speeds recovery. It reduces inflammation and supports nervous system balance. So it's like gently rising your body from the inside, helping flush waste and bring in oxygen without stressing the system. Zone 2 is considered the longevity zone. It's comfortable. You can talk, but you can't, for example, sing. What it does, it builds mitochondria, which is your energy factories. It trains your body to burn fat efficiently. It improves insulin sensitivity, and it enhances metabolic flexibility. Zone 2 is like upgrading your engine, but not really revving it. This is where your aging slows down at a cellular level. It's one of the strongest predictors of long-term health. Zone 3 is performative and focus on performance and stamina. It is harder, and at this zone, so obviously this is where you're running, talking becomes difficult, because usually when you're at the run club, you don't see people socializing. You're literally just running to the point, you come back, and then you have the socializing at the end of it. What it does is it improves cardiovascular strength, increases endurance, it raises lactate threshold, which is your ability to sustain effort. This is when it's teaching your body how to stay calm under pressure. Now, zone 4 is power and stress adaptation. This is where you have to be in high rocks, for example. It's very hard and short bursts only. It boosts VO2 max. It trains the heart and lungs to work at full capacity and improves stress resilience. This is like teaching your body how to handle life's emergencies. Now, how does cycling build functional capacity at this point, and how does it protect it as you get older?
So I would say that realistically, zone 2 is probably a very realistic zone to ride in. We're not applying it to a certain age group as we talk. We're applying it into later stages of life, right? So I think that movement on the bike, zone 2 is a very healthy place to be. Circulation, reducing inflammation, assisting with the mitochondria health, as you said. Now for you, Mary, however, I would say that would be a very good zone to be in if you're cycling like 3 or 5 to 4 times a week even.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're
outdoor, not indoor. Right?
Outdoor, but you're not overexerting your body. It's a very healthy movement to be. And again, it's a low stressor on the joints. For yourself, because you're training for the marathon, I would probably aim in your training plan to try to get yourself into zone 4 at least once a week.
Okay, so
as
that's
a part
indoor training. I could do it like on a zone 4.
Yeah, you could do it on your zone 4.
Yeah, so like sprints, right?
Sprints that exceed 30 seconds, perhaps even.
Right. So you have classes like that do these type, or is it yours because it's rhythm based, right?
It's rhythm based.
And but you have different types of classes.
Yeah.
And some classes are focused on that, and other
Yeah.
classes are focused on maybe just a zone 2.
So I would say it's rhythm based. What we focus on is interval. We don't focus on the zones internally.
Yeah.
We focus on staying on what we call like the double time beat. It was relative to the cadence. So it might be 240 to 260 beats per minute. We focus on the time out of the saddle. So for example, it might be a song with a chorus that lasts for 32 counts or maybe 64. So we challenge people to do this short micro interval based training where they get up and out of the saddle. If you were to measure in a zone, very interesting question. I'm not actually 100% sure where it would come up to. I think 3 or 4, not 2.
Yeah.
2 would be what we call like a jog.
Exactly.
Or a side to side with a heavier resistance.
Because I know when you're standing and you're doing that, that's definitely
that's definitely a 3 or 4. Yeah.
100%.
And also challenging yourself to stay out at a longer chorus. And we do have more advanced classes where people are able to stay for what we call 124 beats. Yeah. So that's like 2 choruses, or more. And I always give people the option, if you need to sit down, you sit down. If you can stay out of that saddle and push a little bit longer, and you'll see them, they'll be out of breath when they sit down. Then we take it back down with that interval training, maybe half the exertion. And then we have another round, maybe 2 or 3 rounds in one song. So that's how we measure it indoors, but we don't do actual zones in rhythm riding. But relative to what you need to do for your marathon running, I would highly recommend that maybe you can monitor that at least once a week. And then maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you get yourself into zone 2.
You know what's the beautiful thing about endurance sports in general, and the fact that I even got into running because I started a walk club. You know that.
It's amazing.
I hate running.
Yeah.
And the reason why...
But it's a nice community.
Yeah.
And it's good for your mental health.
Yeah.
Not everything's about pounding yourself all the time.
100%. Yeah. And but the thing is like scientifically proven, running is bad for your joints longer term because it's the wear and tear of the constant usage of running 100K every single month.
Well, I would say that it's not recommended.
No, not
but
at all.
Of course, it has other massive health benefits.
Yeah.
And also a great sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, 100%.
So
that's why I want to say,
of purpose, it drives you. It's amazing.
And I don't know, like the endorphins that you get at the end of every...
We call it the cycling high.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so good.
It's good. So there's nothing like it.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like there's really I don't feel the same when I'm not training, So I feel so good when I'm constantly... pushing my body to do something different. So it isn't just that I like cycling or that I like running or that I like walking. I'm always pushing myself to do something different every day because for me, it's really just about movement. It's what I care about the most, So, for example, I am now going to be running a marathon in June, and I'm going to do it in South Africa as my first ever marathon. Very exciting. And also, I don't want to do it again. I want to do like, I just want to tick it off my box that I did a marathon. And in a marathon, though, it's not a sprint. So it's the same like when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, that was like 5 days of like 17 kilometers a day or whatever we were doing, but it was long ass walks. And what they tell you as this word that they use in Africa, but they say, pole, and that means slowly. Oh, yeah. Because whenever you're doing something as long as that, it's like a marathon and not a sprint. And the faster you go, the faster altitude sickness hits you. And then you start having crazy headaches, you start throwing up. And because I was someone that focuses on slow movements, I never had that until the final day. And it's the same in a marathon, right? You're never running super fast at the beginning because by the time you hit your first 10K, you're dead. Right? So it's the same for any endurance sports. You start slow and then build your way up.
So I would say now you had me thinking back when I used to run track, 400, 800, 1500 and 3000. The 800, I would say, is the biggest mental mind game because you get on that field. It's not too short, but it's not too long, right? It's not a kilometer yet. And in one way or another, even though track running at 800 meters is an individual sport, you actually have components and opponents that you need to keep an eye out for. You have to pace yourself exactly the right way to exert exactly the right amount of energy. Even though you might feel like you have a lot at the beginning, you cannot pace yourself like this on an 800-meter run. You've also sort of got to play a little bit of a mind game with your opponents around that field, where they think that you're running out of energy. You sort of back off just behind them, and then you shoot out where it's needed. So it's just a sort of micromanagement internally of your energy output. And it's exactly the same thing that you were saying in cycling when you have the paces, or the runners, sorry, at the beginning, the middle, and the ends. You can sort of like micromanage your energy levels by staying within that parameter. It's the same thing as what the gentleman was telling you when you're climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Pace yourself. Let your body get into a rhythm where it's exerting energy at a healthy level. You're not overdoing it, and you're not underdoing it either. You're doing it at the right level for yourself.
Mental health.
Mental health. My favorite topic.
Mine too, because I've had so many mental health issues, breakdowns,
Oh,
and
Mary.
issues throughout the years of
We
my
all have.
life,
If it
right?
if it makes you feel better.
the conversations that we've had and the struggles we've had
Yeah.
in so many aspects of our lives, our businesses, our relationships, just even motherhood for me.
Yeah.
I've gone through some crazy like life experiences, and last year was a real blow for so many of us. And it being the year of the snake, and I'm so happy like that's over and
Well,
done with.
almost 17th of February.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you got any ties, you better cut them now.
Yeah, I've cut them.
Yeah, okay,
Girl,
good.
I've cut them.
Yeah.
I'm really in such a beautiful place in my life right now.
Yeah.
But also, I bring that up because if it wasn't for all the sports that I've done and the things that have helped me cope with that, I don't think I would have been able to go through what I went through last year without endurance and community and sports and movement. So really, how does cycling or any sport really help with mental health? And why is consistency the true longevity hack?
Consistency is the true longevity hack because you're showing up for yourself. You're not stop starting something. You're implementing movement into your day-to-day purpose. All of us, we have stresses. Sometimes we have lack of sleep. Sometimes we have hormonal issues. Sometimes we have things going on outside of our control. Perhaps we've lost our job, or there's a tragedy back home that we cannot control. You know that your sport is something that you invest yourself into. Whatever you put into your sport is exactly what you're going to get out. Taking VO2 max, for example, the more that you train high intensity endurance, the stronger your lung capacity and your cardio capacity becomes. In the process of all of this, we're showing up for ourselves. We're setting benchmarks that we smash. You're not in competition really with anybody else. Nobody will take it away from you. So it's like a form of self-investment. You know, when you go and study a degree, or you play a musical instrument, or you learn a new language, sport is exactly the same. What you put in is exactly what you'll get out. If you're putting in 50%, you're only going to gain 50%. You're putting in 100% into your training, it's going to give you back 150%. You're going to feel proud of yourself. You're going to feel that you've achieved something, and something that nobody can take away from you. And overall, you're simply just expanding your life. Doing positive things for yourself, anti-aging, longevity, better sleep, better regulated hormones. You have a channel to exert your stress instead of taking it out in unhealthy ways, such as perhaps partying or drinking or taking drugs. It's just such a beautiful channel to exert and to do your absolute best. This is why it feels good, because you can grow pillars from it, and you can grow yourself in your sport. It's amazing. It's something that no one can take away from you. You're doing it for yourself, and you're growing stronger because of it, and you feel that. And that's such an amazing feeling.
Cycling, like many sports, is, I would say, like a mirror of how we live, right? It's a mirror.
It's a mirror.
It's when we are stressed and inconsistent and chaotic, our blood sugar rises, our stress is, our body's inflamed, we're not coping, we're actually just coping. We're not living, we're coping. And the majority of the world today, in all its highs and lows, is really just coping. And it's sad, right? Because every single day we wake up and we have a choice. It's the same as we wake up and we have a choice of the person we choose to love. And it's also a choice that we wake up every single morning and we look at the mirror and we decide we want to love this person today or we don't. And most of the time we don't, right? We are our own biggest critic, and we're always in a position where we complain more about ourselves than we show love to ourselves. And in every single phase of my life, and every single person that I sit with, and every single, specialist and opportunity that comes in our way, the only thing that we decide and we experience is that how much self-love do we want to give ourselves. And yesterday I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he is already in his 50s, and he's like, oh my God, now I really start caring about everything I do, my time, my energy, the people I invest in, because now he's like, I don't really have that much time left. He's starting to feel it.
I think he's just more aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got plenty of time if he's taking care of himself. But I think you just get to a certain point where you're inundated with life's experiences. You put your hand on the hot plate one too many times. You didn't listen to your gut instinct, which, as you know, is a very real thing. It's a receptor, it's a sensory system that maybe we don't talk about enough, but it's real. How many times have you denied yourself the truth just for it to slap you in the face 2 years later or whatnot? So I think, like him realizing it at 50 is not really the age. Age is just a number. I think he's realized it after he's accumulated enough life experiences. Yeah.
Yesterday I was with a friend of mine, and I brought my son. We went out to like a gathering, and it was kind of like a party. And I was introduced to a bunch of new people at the party. And one of the girls who I was introduced to, I also introduced my son to, and she was like I get the same reaction every single time. Just the same,
imagine.
like we get the same reaction all the time when we go out and we say, how old we are. It's even more so when I bring a 22-year-old son to an environment where like people are like, there's no way you have a 22-year-old. How do you have a 22-year-old when you yourself look like so young? But that goes to the point that you were saying about consistency. It's the compounding interest that we have done in our lives ever since
the small tweaks.
We were younger.
Yeah, the rejected plans, the sleeping a little bit earlier, cutting out things
alcohol,
that you're really not good.
caffeine.
Yeah.
I
don't know if I've cut out caffeine yet.
I've never,
my next vice.
I've never had caffeine my whole life. The only
amazing.
thing that I would ever drink is just matcha or green teas. I would have it in a different form, but never in the form that people
overconsume.
It's only because like I grew up in an environment with so much addiction.
Yeah.
My father was addicted to alcohol. He was addicted to smoking, and he didn't show himself enough self-love. And I didn't want to mirror that.
And I suppose you don't feel like you saw the true him either, because he was overstimulated all the time.
Even though he had all those addictions, he was an incredible husband, an incredible dad. So I'm so blessed that even though I saw addiction, I also saw love. So yesterday I actually went to the cemetery, and we paid our respects. And it's been over 20 years since he's passed. And I look at it from a standpoint of like, I saw what addiction does to people. And I didn't want to live with anything that society put me in a way of like, you need to be addicted to that to thrive. So hence why I never drank coffee. I never smoked. I drank alcohol, but now it's my 11th year where I'm sober, alcohol free. So, and having experienced that, and now being 45 and where I am in life today, I look at it from a standpoint like, wow, I can wake up in the morning and say that I don't need a stimulant to survive.
But you know what's amazing about this story is you took your father as an example, like bless his soul, he was a great dad, but you saw the shortcomings of his life where he could have extended his life or maybe had a better quality life. And you decided not to make it yours.
Yeah.
You decided to work on things. And, I sometimes look at our parents and realize that they're not perfect specimens all the time. They're human. They're going to make mistakes. But as long as we don't feel sorry for ourselves and feel that we need to fall into the same traps, I think that we can learn from that sort of living and better our own lives. The great thing about modern day society is, although we have things like social media that may have a negative impact, it also has a great impact because you can choose to follow certain accounts where you get free education online. You get to learn about health aspects. Maybe you're not educated in that, or you don't have the opportunity to be exposed to that sort of education. But now we have free learning online. we can actually read about all different perspectives of things like health and dietary and fitness and movement, and make our own judgment and opinions from that. And you can choose to go down that healthier road if you like, And I think it's just such a movement with wellness as well, especially with the reason the coffee clubs, the coffee
sober raves.
coffee night, sober raves.
Yeah, I love it.
People are drinking less and less. I think they also want to get like in realistic touch when they're having conversations with people.
Yeah.
Like drowning yourself in substances late at night and then waking up feeling bad about yourself doesn't do you any good in the long run, your mental health, body health.
Yeah. Just like staring at you now while you speak, you have such incredible skin. You look really beautiful
So do you, Mary.
for your age. And I want us to be like this even into like our 70s and 80s. Like, let's redefine what beauty means, right? It isn't just how we look on the outside, but it's because of how we are biologically aging on the inside and how our cells are happy and how it's thriving and how it's slow aging. That we can afford to, we do the treatments and whatever that we're doing externally, but they're
not going to work unless you have a good fundamental base.
Yeah, you need a foundation. It's only going to mask it to a certain extent, and one day you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Treatments can only take you so far. Just the same in how you manage your mental health. It can only take you to so far. The pills, the sleeping pills, the anti-anxiety pills, the ADHD pills, all these pharmaceutical drugs that you pump into your body and you think that's the cure for your mental health, it's not.
Yeah.
It's everything else. It's movement, it's consistency, it's community.
Yeah.
And it's what you eat and how you speak to yourself every day is what will make us
slow
aging.
That's a proven sort of studied thing. The way that you speak to yourself, you can literally rewire your own neurological thinking to the words that you speak to yourself. And just remember one thing, your body is listening to you. So each day when you're regenerating cells, you either create a beautiful environment as a baseline, speaking positively to yourself, knowing that, you can look in the mirror. The first thing that you need to say in the morning is that you love yourself. Because actually, if you have people relying on you, children, spouses, colleagues, businesses, organizations, general community, whatever it might be, they need you to be in your best form. If you're negative talking to yourself or putting yourself down, like that's not a nice base for a plant to grow. You need the nice soil, right?
Absolutely.
So you create the nice soil for yourself. It starts with you.
Ivana, my girl.
Mary.
My beautiful girl.
Thank
my
you for having
beautiful
me.
lady. Thank you so much for being on the Be That Life experience. And I cannot wait to challenge you on the 50K bike ride.
Oh, yeah, we have to do that.
On a track.
On the track. And I'm going to be clipping you in those shoes. We're going to practice that as well. Thank you so much, Mary.